Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank our President Joe Biden, for the investment of $1.2 trillion. That's right, Mr. Speaker, trillion with a capital T of the Bipartisan Infrastructure and Jobs Act. And we hear a lot of noise from the other side every single day. But when we see those shovels going in the ground, when we see those major projects coming forward across the nation, those same members that are making noise on the other side of the aisle will show up to the ribbon cutting, Mr. Speaker. And some of them may dare to take credit for the projects. The biggest investment in the history of our nation with regards to infrastructure and jobs. And it is not just infrastructure. It is an economic development machine that will generate hundreds of thousands, if not millions of jobs across our nation. So I want to thank our president for his investment in our nation, and particularly in the 13th Congressional District, which is an iconic district that has Harlem, East Harlem, also known as El Barrio, Washington Heights. Yes, some of you may have seen the movie In the Heights, Inwood, and the Northwest Bronx. And the second phase of the 2nd Avenue subway just kicked off this past weekend. I want to thank our Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, for coming to our district to kick off the second phase of the 2nd Avenue subway right in East Harlem. And this phase is such an important phase for a community that has, for far too long, been subjected to a transportation desert. On Saturday, the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Transit Administration stood hand in hand with East Harlem leaders to sign off on a $3.4 billion full funding grant agreement. This was part of the Capital Investment Grant Program that received record funding under the Bipartisan Infrastructure and Jobs Act. So I want to thank the Secretary for coming to my district. The funding will help support a 1.8-mile extension of the Q line. Some people seem to think that America cannot build a subway anymore. Yes, we can. Yes, we can when we put people over politics. And so this new initiative on the east side of Manhattan will connect the Q line from 96th Street to 125th Street to Harlem, and relieving an overcrowding Lexington Avenue line, which is the most overcrowded line in the nation and if not the world. And it will transport over 200,000 riders on a daily basis in the most heavily used transit corridor in America. Saturday marked the start of a vibrant economic future for families across East Harlem. And we work with the Wrangle Infrastructure Workforce Initiative at City College that Congressman Wrangle and myself have been working on to ensure that we train those young people in our community so they can have access to prevailing wage jobs. This project is also called Uptown Grand Central. As you can see, we will have a transportation hub that will connect Harlem to the rest of the world. And you see the lines here that will go from 125th Street to 96th Street. Now, the first phase went uptown, right through the Silk Stocking District, the richest zip codes in the country. So maybe they weren't too open about the jobs, but we are laser focused on making sure that the second phase creates thousands of jobs. The first phase created 16,000 jobs, generated $142 million in wages, and produced $2.87 billion in economic activity during the construction. So this second phase will lift that district, East Harlem, not only producing jobs, but injecting oxygen to our economy. Yes, we can when we put people over politics. And so, Mr. Speaker, I am happy to be here to tell you that this project will connect Harlem to the rest of the world. It will connect the 2nd Avenue subway to the Metro North Line, 14 counties outside of New York City. I stand here to say we have a bright future. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.